morning, everyone. How are you? Good morning. Are you okay? I'm used to kindergartners saying, hello, how are you? You know? Okay, can you please stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Welcome you all this morning, and we're grateful you're here for us to start the 54th year of the Youth Volunteer Reading Tutor program. Normally we have a children presentation for you, but this year we went in a different direction. We still see children, but these young people that are sitting in the front row over here are part of a TV station here at Jefferson, and they actually did one of their morning presentations for you. So if you look up here at the screen, we're ready to see that video.
Welcome to Jefferson Elementary School for your annual volunteer reading meeting. We are the TJTV Morning Announcements Group, and we have a live morning announcement show every morning at 9:15 a.m.
Each show begins with the pledge, followed by fun facts, the weather report, and the lunch menu of the day. Trivia Tuesday, the joke of the day, and school announcements, and much more.
Now let's talk about the purpose of your program, the Volunteer Reader Tutor program. This program is designed to provide support to children in grades K through 6th grade with their reading skills. As tutors, you will provide one-on-one assistance for at least 30 minutes each week. You serve as role models, motivating students to become better readers. The goal is to reinforce the lessons taught by the classroom teacher.
Classroom teachers select students who would benefit from individual tutoring. Thank you for your dedication and commitment to helping our fellow students succeed.
Over the years, you have helped many students here at Jefferson Elementary. Now let's take a moment to hear some messages from past students to you. Rosa said, "They were very nice. They taught me new vocabulary words through reading."
Marcel had a volunteer reader for 2 years. She said she enjoyed reading with the volunteer because reading was hard for her when she first arrived in the United States. Tessa said she helped me read better and I liked the stories.
Jadia said, "I liked reading to her without anyone else to call on." Thank you once again for your dedication and the significant impact you made in our lives.
Now, wasn't that amazing? I'm glad I saw it earlier this morning because it made me cry. I'd like to have these children come up, please, and we'll introduce them.
Hi, my name is Leah and I've been in the TAG Club for 2 years.
Hi, my name is Ava and this is my first year in Tech Club.
Hi, my name is Mala and I've been on Tech Club for my first year.
Hi, my name is Samela and this is my first year in Tech Club.
Hi, my name is Richard and this is my second year in the Tech Club.
Hi, my name is Maya, and this is my second year in Tech Club.
All right, are we ready? Well, it's nice to know we're back for the 54th year. This program is amazing when I think that it's just people in the community that care about our kids and show up. I've been lucky. I taught in the school system for a long time. I had the advantage of having someone come into my classroom to do that, and now I get that same opportunity myself. We'd like to recognize your service, but before I do that, I'd like to at least introduce the people that are here to see you today. This is Dr. Spence, the superintendent of our school. This is Mrs. Van Duren, she's the principal of Jefferson. Mr. Felchi, he's the assistant superintendent of curriculum and instruction. Mrs. Kathy Kernan, and she is Mrs. Kernan's daughter-in-law. In the audience, we have Mr. Kernan, who is Mrs. Kernan's son. So it's very nice to have all of you here today. And I will let all of you speak in a minute, but I'd like to pass out your certificates first, if I could, please. So if Mr. Felchi and Dr. Spence would come over, I'll give you the certificates and you can present them. Okay, for 1 year of service, we have Tasha Elson. Thank you very much. For 2 years of service, Natalie Brown. Mary J. McMahon. Mary Sheep. Thanks, Mary. Richard Thomas. Carl Cicerelli. Thanks, Carl. Paul LeMayo. Elizabeth Rossi. Linda Walker. And Linda is for 4 years. Okay. For 7 years, Patricia Adams. For 8 years, Betty Murtaugh. Thanks, Betty. Also for 8 years, Mary Wilcox. For 9 years, Teresa Bryla. For 10 years, Kathy Edick. Joanne Gould. 12 years, Linda Burns. And Christine Reister. For 15 years, Mary Butterberg. Thanks, Mary. For 16 years, Jill Breckel. Monica Gribma. Phyllis Van Driesen. Thank you, please. For 18 years, Charmaine Johnson. And for 23 years, Elizabeth Schultz. Thank you all so much for your time, for your dedication to our students. We could not do it without you, number one. You're a very important part of our community. And you come from all over, which is wonderful. And you mean an awful lot to our children. I'm going to let them talk in 1 second, and I'll read you a story before you schedule. Just remember, when you do go into those rooms, you are the most important thing for most of those people that they see weekly. They look for you. Please keep track of your hours, because I do give a report to the board every year, and to the superintendent of the district. So if you keep track of it, we left calendars for you back there. Check and take the calendar for the school year because there are certain days that they're not in session, just so you know that. And then when you meet with the people, if you have any other concerns, let them know. Meanwhile, if you need me at any point in time, it's mtballoos@gmail. I'll be happy to take care of whatever's going on for you. Right now, I'd like to introduce Dr. Spence.
I would first like to start off by thanking you all for your service, for being part of our ecosystem here at the Utica City School District. The work that you're engaged in is so critically important to the success and vibrancy of our communities because we're helping our scholars with literacy. Everywhere I've ever gone in my career, I've always promoted literacy because that is the foundation from which we build our students up and the foundation that our students need to be successful in the world, workplace, and to be informed citizens. What we know from decades of research is that if students do not gain the basic literacy skills early in their academic career, the cost and the effort to remedy that at the latter stages of their career is immense, and it makes our work so much more challenging. That couldn't have been truer, me as an English language arts teacher in the 11th grade, working in urban areas, seeing students that came to me without having those foundational skills, and observing how difficult it was for them to navigate those challenges to remedy those things. So it's programs like this and traditions like these that really work to breathe life in our students to make sure that they have the skills and foundation so that they can be successful in the latter stages of their academic career. It is the gateway to life. There is nothing that you can do or accomplish without those literacy skills in our ever-changing global and competitive economy. So when you're reading and you're working with our young scholars, it's more than just reading a book and those very important intimate connections. You are breathing life not only into our students, but our local economy and the success of this city for generations. So I applaud you all for the work that you're doing, because again, it's so critically important. And this is why we have adopted our hashtag and our motto of Utica United, because it truly takes a village. It truly takes an investment of our community members that see a need and rise to that call of action to invest their time and skills into helping develop the future human capital of our region. So I can't thank you enough for the work that you do. As a former English language arts teacher, I really can't thank you enough for the work that you do, but I want you to understand that your impact is not only everlasting. By teaching one to read, you have now impacted generations. On a more, if I can offer some anecdotal evidence, my mother, who is a New York City teacher, taught me how to read early on. But in the neighborhood from which I came, not many students had that opportunity or programs like this. And as time went on, I saw the gaps exacerbate over time because they were missing the critical foundation. So when you come into these classrooms and you enter into this school, your work is so important, and the impact of your work is so vast that I cannot thank you enough. So again, thank you as the superintendent. Thank you as an English language arts teacher, because I wish I had more of you. I could replicate you a million times over across the country. But also thank you for being a proud jewel of our district. So applaud for yourselves. Thank you for your service.
Thank you so much, Dr. Spence. Mr. Fauci?
There's not much that I can add to what Dr. Spence had to say, because he's correct all the way across the board. But I do want to thank all of you. And I just want to take a couple minutes to recognize a couple of the people behind the scenes who really make this happen. First, Vanessa Rera, former principal of Jefferson School, who's one of our showcase in the district. And of course, Ms. Kernan and Ms. Teresa Beludis, who have spent years dedicated to the craft of reading and have really been the force behind our volunteer reader program here in the Utica City School District. So I definitely would like to acknowledge and thank them.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fauci. Mrs. Binder.
Good morning and welcome to Jefferson. Mr. Felch kind of stole my thunder. I did want to make sure that we recognize Mrs. Valutis and Mrs. Rayra, especially for setting up not only today, this recognition ceremony, but also for making sure that this program runs so smoothly. If you haven't seen the report that Mrs. Valutis puts together every year, it is very impressive. I do believe we have copies. Correct. Yeah, we have some copies today. So if you haven't gotten to look at it, it is very impressive. All of your efforts put into a document to show how much you are able to come into our buildings and really influence our students' lives. And I want to thank my TJTV crew here. They are especially talented. They do this every morning for the entire school around 9:10, 9:15 every morning. They do a full broadcast, a brand new broadcast every day, led by Mrs. Harrison. It is very impressive. If you would like to check it out, it is always on our YouTube channel by around 9:30 daily. So feel free to check it out and see the great things they're doing. We've had a total rebrand, and we're excited to see what happens for the remainder of the year with this group. So thank you. I look forward to seeing my Jefferson volunteer readers in the building this year. And to those of you that are working in the other buildings, thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Van Duren. I also want to thank Mrs. Van Duren because Jefferson has been the home for this program since pretty much it started. Their meetings have been here every single year over those years, at least for 30 years. So we appreciate everything you do to help us make sure it takes place. Hey, Mrs. Kerner?
I just want to thank you all so much. Thank you for coming. Thank you for all your efforts. I just thought I'd spend a minute today just reminding you, some of you who've heard this before, some of you are new to the program, and Mr. Falty. This program was started in 1969 by my mother-in-law. One Sunday at church, she heard a homily, and this is in 1968. And some of you were alive in 1968. Remember that it was not a great year in our country. There was a lot of unrest going on. And the homily said, if you don't like what you see, do something about it. And she went home and thought, well, what can I do? And she happened to pick up a copy of the Reader's Digest that had come that month. And in the Reader's Digest, there was an article about a woman who had started a volunteer tutor reading program. And she thought, I can do that. I have 7 children. I've helped them with their reading for a long time. And then she thought, well, how am I going to do this? And she was on the Utica Nursing Board, and she had 2 good friends, Mrs. Albert Schwartz, I'm sorry I said her name wrong, Mrs. Albert Schwartz and Eddie Schwartz, and Mrs. Roberta Frank. And both of these women said, we can help you, Kitty. And between the 3 of them, they came up with a program. And they went to Edward Perry, who was then the superintendent of Utica schools. And he said, well, if you can get 3 schools to agree that they want training in their schools for your program, I'll let you try it for a year. So they started a recruiting program. They put articles in the newspaper. They talked to their friends. And lo and behold, their very first year in 1969, they had 34 volunteers, and they tutored 96 kids. And from then on, the program has grown and grown and grown. At one point, we had over 100 volunteers. That was a little bit too many for us. We dropped down to the 80s, and that was a more manageable number. At the moment, we're low, but we took a big hit with COVID, and we're coming back. And so this past year, We had 36 volunteers, but we helped 263 children last year. So this is the beginning of a new year, a 54th year of the program. Kitty's notes say at the end of it, good luck in your tutoring. The rewards can be great. Thank you for your service.
Thank you, Kathy, and Ed, thank you too. And what she said is true. We can all do something if we just choose to do it. So hang in there, hopefully. Before I read you your story, I do want to thank again Dr. Spence, Mr. Felchi, the Board of Education, Mrs. Rayrod, Mrs. Van German, the staff, at Jefferson, Mrs. Harris, the TV people over there, and all the people in the district that are here today to represent each of the schools to schedule you. I can't do that on my own. I don't work in the district anymore, so you are valuable to me. I'm grateful for everything that you do. Hopefully you'll hang in there and do it a little bit longer. And now it's time for your story before you get to find out where you're going to go to work. Okay? So the book I'm going to read to you today is called Wilfred Gordon McDonald Partridge, and it's written by Mem Fox. There was once a small boy called Wilfred Gordon McDonald Partridge, and what's more, he wasn't very old either. His house was next door to an old people's home, and he knew all the people who lived there. He liked Mrs. Jordan, who played the organ. He listened to Mr. Hosking, who told him scary stories. He played with Mr. Tippett, who was crazy about cricket. He ran errands for Miss Mitchell, who walked with a wooden stick. And he admired Mr. Drysdale, who had a voice like a giant. But his favorite person of all was Miss Nancy Allison Delacour Cooper, because she had 4 names, just as he did. And he called her Miss Nancy and told her all of his secrets. One day, Wilfred Gordon heard his mother and father talking about Miss Nancy. Poor old thing, his mother said. Why is she a poor old thing? Asked Wilfred Gordon. Because she's lost her memory, said his father. It isn't surprising, said his mother. After all, she is 96. What's a memory? Asked Wilfred Gordon. He was always asking questions. It is something you remember, said his father. But Wilfred Gordon wanted to know more, so he called on Mrs. Jordan, who played the organ. What's a memory, he asked. Something warm, my child, something warm. He called on Mr. Hosking, who told him scary stories. What's a memory, he asked. Something from long ago, lad. Something from long ago. He called on Mr. Tippett, who was crazy about cricket. What's a memory, he asked. Something that makes you cry, my boy. Something that makes you cry. He called on Miss Mitchell, who walked with a wooden stick. What's the memory, he asked. Something that makes you laugh, my darling, something that makes you laugh. He called on Mr. Drysdale, who had the voice like a giant. What's a memory, he asked. Something as precious as gold, young man. Something as precious as gold. So Wilfred Gordon went home again to look for memories for Miss Nancy because she had lost her own. He looked for the shoebox of shells he had found long ago last summer and put them gently in a basket. He found the puppet on strings, which always made everyone laugh, and he put that in the basket too. He remembered with sadness the medal his grandfather had given him, and he placed it gently next to the shells. Next he found his football, which was as precious as gold. And last of all, on his way to Miss Nancy's, he went into the hen house and took a fresh, warm egg from under a hen. Then Wilfred Gordon called on Miss Nancy and gave her each thing one by one. What a dear, strange child to bring me all these wonderful things, thought Miss Nancy. And then she started to remember. She held the warm egg and told Wilfred Gordon about the tiny speckled blue egg she had once found in a bird's nest in her aunt's garden. She put a shell to her ear and remembered going to the beach by tram long ago and how hot she had felt in her buttoned-up boots. She touched the metal and talked sadly of the big brother she had loved, who had gone to the war and never returned. She smiled at the puppet on strings and remembered the one she had shown to her sister and how she had laughed with a mouth full of porridge. She bounced the football to Wilfred Gordon and remembered the day she had met him and all the secrets they had told. And the two of them smiled and smiled because Miss Nancy's memory had been found again by a small boy who wasn't very old. So I hope you all have memories like that this year that you can share with your students and they can share with you. Thank you so much. Have a great year. And if you would meet with your people by your sign to schedule, I'd appreciate it.